Hey guys, sorry that I'm late putting up another video on the new rules and all that. I've been busy with school and well, busy with my work life and all that. But now I can talk to you about the new deck changes to Garchomp Altaria. Or you can call this version Garchomp Landorus under the new rules that came out a couple weeks ago. Well, shall we begin? I run 4 Gibble. 4 Gibble is, well, you always want to run 4 Gibble. It's your main attacker. 3 Gabite. It can search out your dragons and it can help you set up. As you may note, the new version of Garchomp Altaria doesn't run Emolga because you can't attack on the first turn. So you're setting up using other things. And this is one of them. I run 4 Garchomp. It's a really good card. Oh yeah, I forgot. Its Mach Cut does 60 damage and you discard special energy. It may not be looking hot right now, but if you combine it with Altaria and Silver Bangle, it's really broken. I run 3 Swablu. I hear that some people are running like 4 sets of Altaria, but I still choose to run 3. I don't think you really need that many, cause you got Silver Bangle. Of course, 3 Altaria. It's still a pretty good card. Gives Garchomp the extra boost. For 1 energy, you can potentially do 100 or 120 damage for just 1 energy and discard special energy. Or if you combine it with Silver Bangle, you could be doing like 130, 150 damage for 1 energy, which is extremely good. And you're discarding 1 special energy. The next 2 I have is Landorus CX. I still run this card because you could just let it sit there and stall at the beginning. Since you don't have Emolga anymore, you could just use Landorus to just let it sit there and take the damage while you set up on the bench. You could take out the Landorus for Mr. Mime, or you can run Suicune for that. But I choose this because it has a lot of HP, and for 1 energy you could also do damage to them and their bench Pokemon. Now let's get to the supporters of the deck. I run... dang it, stuck. I run 4 Juniper. It's pretty standard in every deck. 3 N. I couldn't fit 4 N in this deck because, well, space is kind of tight. 2 Skyla. Skyla can get you rare candy, it can get you basically anything. But I tried 3 Skyla, but it felt like too much. And I have 2 Sharon. Sharon's a really good card if you don't want to discard your hand. But Skyla only gets you 1 card, where Sharon could potentially help you draw into the cards you need. And sometimes, well, yeah, there's nothing else I could say about this card. Being able to draw like a little extra or from the top of your deck can be game changing. And I run 1 Colress. I wanted to run 2 Colress, but then when I was playtesting this deck, I realized that since there was no more Emolga, you couldn't just generate basics on the deck on the bench as easily as you were able to back before this change happened. But 1 is still good. You could potentially get 10 cards. Okay, I'm done with the supporters, and now let's move on to the item cards. I run 4 Level Ball. You have to run 4 level ball in this version now, since Emolga is gone from this deck. You need other ways of searching out your basics and setting up. Gabite is one way you could do it, and level ball is also another way to set up. I run Ultra Ball because sometimes you need to get out the Landorus and play, and well, most of the time you won't be drawing into it, but you can Skyla for the Ultra Ball, and you can get that, or you can get a Garchomp if you have no more Gabites on the bench, and they're all evolved. So this card actually kind of helps a lot. I would run 2 of these. I would run 2 Ultra Balls if I had the space. I run 3 Silver Bangle. Now, this card may not work with Landorus, but it works good with Garchomp, and it's actually better than using the Hypnobank strategy. You do not want to use the Hypnobank strategy with this deck because it takes way too much resources, and well, the lasers can only be used once. Since this is a tool card, it doesn't get discarded or anything like that unless they got Tool Scrapper. You can keep using it over and over again. And since most of the deck has non-EX attackers, it works good with most of every Pokemon. 3 is a good number. I run 3 Switch. Well, Switch is to get out the Landorus. Well, you could replace the switches with float stones, but Switch will get you out of anything at any moment. Like if you're asleep or if you're paralyzed or something like that, Switch will get you out of there guaranteed. You may only be able to use it once compared to float stone, but float stone can't get you out of there if you have been afflicted by a status condition. I run 2 Catcher. Now you may be wondering, why would you run Catcher at all if the new rule took effect? This card is still a game-changing card, but it may have been nerfed to a flip card, but if you're lucky enough and flip heads, you could potentially change the outcome of the game. 2 Candy. The reason you run 2 Candy is because sometimes you need to get Gibble into Garchomp immediately. So, yeah, sorry about my shadow, like, glaring onto the card. Yeah, the reason why you run 2 is so, like, sometimes you need to set up extremely fast by the second turn just to keep up with your opponent. Most of the time you set up using the Gabite. I run 2 Super Rod. Always run 2 Super Rod in this deck, because I could not tell you how many times I've Dragon Bladed and had my Super Rod hit the discard pile from that. Always run 2, because if you have to, and if you force to use Dragon Blade, you're gonna want to be able to use Super Rod later on in the game. This card's definitely needed, because if you're using Dragon Blade a lot, you're going through a lot of resources, and this can potentially get you back any sets of Garchomp or Altaria that hit the discard pile. Now, I would run 2 copies of Tool Scrapper. The reason is because this card can potentially stop your opponent from setting up Garbodor or something like that. Garbodor can really screw up this deck. And let's just say that with Garbodor and with a tool attached to it, that means no more Fight Song, no more Dragon Call, like if you're not set up already. This can Garbodor can really screw up the setup of this deck. Since Catcher isn't as good anymore, Garbodor does have its overpowered advantage, kind of, if you don't run Tool Scrapper. My A-Spec for this deck is still Computer Search. Like, I would like to run Master Ball as my A-Spec, but But then I was thinking at the last minute, I don't need Master Ball. Computer search will get me any missing piece from the deck. It can be a Pokemon of any kind in my deck. It can be an energy. It can be a supporter if I need more draw support. It can get you anything or any missing piece you need without using the supporter for the turn, like Skylar or something like that. Now for the energy cards. Hold on. See if you guys can see them. Sorry guys, it's taking so freaking long. Okay, I run 6 fighting and 4 blend. This is basically Garchomp, Altaria, Landorus in a nutshell. Also, here's a smart idea that you should use in competitive play. Whenever you see a competitive deck being played, you should go home, make a deck list off of that deck that was being played, and take notes while you're battling your opponent, because you can write down what they play and how much of that card they've played. So then you can make copies of their deck list, and then you can see like the different so you understand like how many different numbers of a certain card everybody plays, so you know when you have the advantage when you're versing somebody else, because most likely other people run the deck in the same way, except for the some few people that make different changes to their deck. For example, Jason Klaczynski doesn't run Absol. He's one of the few people that doesn't run the deck according to a certain deck list. Sorry, I've been babbling on too long. This is Garchomp Altaria's. Well, basically, this is the Garchomp Landorus deck list. And this has been Thugs for Less. And I'm out.